early evening where I am, or afternoon, or morning, or even night time wherever you may be. My name is Kirsty Dignam, and I'm here as always to do a look into the collective energies this week. Now, whilst these are collective energies, if anything resonates with you, that's fantastic, and if it doesn't, that's equally fantastic. I'm going to look into the energies based on what I feel, what I can pick up, and by using the tarot, which is a reflection of where we're at. Nobody knows you better than you, and this is something I can't stress enough in all of these videos. So if something doesn't apply, don't make it, as always. So the reason this video is a bit later than normal today is because in truth I felt like I didn't really feel connected to the collective. I didn't really feel as if I was getting any insights or inclinations into the energy, which I found quite surprising because we're coming up to a full moon, and I believe it's in Sagittarius on Wednesday in the UK. And Sagittarius is known for the ability to aim with focus at what it is we are trying to achieve. And that really isn't how I felt this morning. It felt very expansive, and then I forgot the role of Jupiter, and I also forgot that it's a lunar eclipse, I believe, as well this Wednesday. So certain parts of illusion or disillusion coming to light in regards to what's actually going on around us. And it's this that I feel disconnected to. It doesn't feel relevant to me at the moment. And it's about, for me, sitting in that and it being okay and not making it relevant. Sometimes when we're in the space of the unknown, it can be quite destabilising. You know, the world that we once knew, or the life that we once knew, or what we know we don't want. If we don't step into that, what is there? What is next? And what comes along is this void of potential. And more often than not, we don't get to experience that for the fullest that it is, because we return to old patterns and feel the gap and feel the void, and that's part of our learning. But the few things that have come through for me today is I've just completed 3 exams and some lessons that I'm taking. So I have done the first part of the test quite literally, and I'm waiting for the results. Emphasis on waiting. I can't really go any further until the proof that I've done the lessons comes back. The second thing that has come to me today is almost an online battle to try and retrieve that which is mine financially, something that I've invested in that wasn't actually what it was advertised to be. And yeah, just that, backwards and forwards, just trying to get it back, caught up in the process of it, but also being relaxed about it, trusting what will happen, but also standing in what is rightfully mine. And that feels like the energy this week, in order to avoid any disillusion with what is occurring. If we stand in what we know to be our truth, we can find ourselves disconnected from what is going on around us if it doesn't feel relevant. And this week in particular, it feels very poignant to not go back to old ways in order to make something relevant, this video included. So I'm going to have a quick swig of my tea. And what springs to mind is the, I think it's a quote by Einstein, that you cannot change the energy by doing the same thing or by reacting with the same energy. You cannot hope for outside different results, something along those lines. I do apologise, Einstein, for not quoting you very well, but basically, if you want different results, it's going to take different actions this week in particular. And if you don't want different results, that's great, carry on with what you're doing. So I found myself over the weekend in particular going back to old behaviours, noticing there were great lessons there, noticing how far I've come, noticing that I can hold the space for things that once, I couldn't, but also realising that I was at a point where I could decide whether I needed to continue these lessons. And much as they can be rich and fruitful in what I gain, the ultimate gain is self-love, and we can decide that enough is enough and we've done this by not going back there. So for me, the temptation from the devil last week was to go back there and see if there was anything else I needed to learn. This is my shadow aspect. Is there more to learn? Is there more to do? And I was faced with that Sunday, and in my heart of hearts, it came back to what I actually want to achieve and where I actually want to be. And that didn't involve taking lessons on the same things. It actually now for me comes from applying what I know in what I do. So that feels really relevant if we get to the bottom of where any disillusions may come this week. It's all a choice. We don't have to repeat the same lessons. And almost the illusion that we do feels like it's that's coming to the surface, this belief that we have to keep going through the same things over and over and over again. So with that in mind, I'm going to use the tarot deck to look at the energies for this week. And that in itself posed a bit of a conundrum for me this morning. I really even couldn't connect to the decks that I have, and I have many decks. And at first I was going to connect to the Indigenous deck that I have, but didn't quite feel that that was right. Then I was going to connect to the Light Seers Tarot because they're very everyday images, but didn't feel that that was right either. And then I nearly went back to the Rider-Waite because they have a wonderful way of opening my own subconscious. But even that didn't feel right. And my knee-jerk reaction was that I needed another deck. I needed another lesson. I needed another energy to work with. When in truth, while I was searching through Google, I found a pack that really resonated with me. And the irony was I already had them. So there's a message in that, going back to what we've already got, going back to what we already know, what we've already discovered, and moving forward from that. It's that that's going to open the next level of subconscious this week. So the deck in question are the Tarot of the Old Ways, I do believe, and I've had them for some time. I think they might have been some of my original packs, and it's really good to go back to that original source of information, which feels relevant. If there's any disillusion this week, go back to the source. Yeah, to the horse's mouth. That's what I hear. Go back to where it actually came from if you're struggling to find any truth in a situation this week. Okay. It's actually very intriguing because in the space of feeling unaffected or disconnected, what I would once believe was disconnected, I can feel the real expansion and the potential of that this full moon. Sometimes when we think we don't know where we're going, if we let go of the fear of feeling unstructured or unprepared, what actually comes through is things beyond our wildest dreams. That's what I hear. Beyond our wildest dreams. So looking through the illusion of needing to know this week in particular. So with that in mind, what are we actually going to connect to? How we can best navigate this unknown energy this week. And my eyes are drawn to one of my books, Love is in the Earth, really grounding, really connecting to the divine feminine that's trying to come through, the nurturing, the being held, the trusting our place here, knowing that provided we show up, we keep showing up, our path will be lit for us. It feels very almost hermit-like this week. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, overall. Wow. So overall we have the Ace of Swords, and the card itself was actually spinning round and round and round. And when I look at the energy for this week, it is mainly wands, it is mainly fire, and that's that Sagittarius aspect. I feel a bit of to and froing, I feel a bit of almost upside down, I feel a bit of confusion here this week. And what feels really poignant is to keep our head on our shoulders. To really, so sometimes when we're not sure of what is occurring, we can either go back to old patterns, or we can seek beyond what we know. We can go up, take it up to another level. And that's what I'm really feeling this week, to take it up to the next level, to see beyond what was and even what could be. Yeah, and really bring it down to where we are now. And really, truly look from a higher perspective this week. On Monday, we have the Knight of Rods. So today, the Knight of Rods. And it does feel like almost a yearning to charge forward, but it coming from a defensive place. The unknown can be an uncomfortable place, and the knee-jerk reaction can be to try and search out answers, to try and to try and get what it is we're trying to get. And there needs to be balance there. Yeah, there needs to be balance. And you can see that this character in particular is quite aggressive in how things should be. Really looking at that this week. Where does that come from? Where does that view? I sense a deep awareness of our own moralities this week in particular. So really looking at that on the Monday. Because on the Tuesday, we have justice. What we give out, we get back. Okay, so really fine-tuning that and honing that now. What we give out, we get back. Keep that balance. I also notice in the hand of justice, he has a symbol very much like the rune for protection. There does feel a sense of that this week, just to not keep our guards up, but be very aware of our own energy and how it is affected by others and how we affect others as well. And really keeping that in balance, in particular around the things that we create, because this individual has a key around his sacral center that's going down to his root chakra. So balancing what we create for ourselves and for others on the Tuesday. If we want that new birth, making it that new birth. So we have a huge heron at the top of this stairway now, and it is about taking those steps to that higher perspective in order to see what we can truly create here. On the Wednesday, the Ten of Rods, and what I see here is a man that's actually trying to make something out of all the hard work that's been put in. Normally the Ten of Rods looks very much, or the Ten of Wands looks very much as if it's a burden, but here you can see that he's making the most of it, that he's actually taking everything that he's learned and he's building with that bit by bit, and that feels quite relevant on the Wednesday. So things may come to light on the Monday and Tuesday that just restore some kind of balance to our own drive and how we move forward. And on the Wednesday, it feels like that will almost culminate. 10 is the end of the suit, so it feels like it will almost culminate together. On the Thursday, the Sun card. In this deck in particular, it looks like transformation. So normally the Sun card is a young innocence. And you can see that on this card with the fact that they are naked and they're stripped and almost raw. Everything has been stripped back from them here and they are vulnerable. But this card in particular I enjoy because you can see the phoenix. You can see the rise that comes from that, from being who we are 110%, and how we can move forward with that. So the energies from the full moon on the Wednesday do feel a little bit overwhelming, and that can lead to vulnerability on the Thursday, but it's about rising now. It's about taking everything we have learned and rising and moving forward. On the Wednesday, I noticed with the Ten of Rods, it was almost like I was looking for somebody to help this individual build whatever it was he was building so that it wouldn't be too much. On the Friday, we get that individual. We get that energy come in that says, hang on, let me give you a helping hand. Okay. To go from it all being down to one person, someone actually saying, let's do this together. Let me help you on the Friday. The energy appears older, wiser, and more elevated. And that can be, I would say could be just, but that's a big thing, can be our own level of perception, our own spirit, because we are talking wands and we are talking spirit here, and it can be our own higher self on the Friday that says, let me just give you a hand here. But it is about connecting to that energy by realizing our truth. And that is what feels like it will strip us bare this week. Really standing in our own truth is going to be the transformation. On the Saturday, and it feels overall as well, we have the Strength card. And ironically, this card in my pack is torn. It's torn at the bottom and it's torn at the top. And what is actually missing is the number and half of the sky. I almost find like I want to pause with that. Yeah, recognizing our number and the place here and the light that we bring is that part that feels like it's missing this week. But I also noticed that she has the medicine wheel on her staff, knowing that all things come full circle and keeping that balance within our own elements, our own thoughts, our own emotions, our own processes here, taking on that which is ours, but not that which is anybody else's. It feels very poignant to keep it balanced this week with meditation, and we have that in the Four of Swords. Your body is your temple, your body is your kingdom and your palace, returning to that throughout this week and really, really listening, finding space to really connect and meditate. Now that could be a walking meditation, that can be drawing, that can be journaling, that can be actual meditation, whatever works for you. But anything this week that's going to connect you to your higher self feels very poignant in order to navigate the incredibly fiery energy this week. It feels like it will apply to people on different levels. Those that require more transformation may feel this more than others. So don't be surprised if you feel as if you're feeling the brunt of it all. Bringing it back to the body all the time, finding the strength in your own divinity, in your own connection here, seeking help when you need it, be it from your higher self or from those that have walked the path before you. That feels quite relevant. They've walked the path before you for a reason, and there's great teachings there. But obviously make sure that they help you find your own answers and that you're not just living theirs. Because that feels like that's where some of the overwhelm could come from this week. And it is about keeping the balance. And I feel like the balance between the teacher and the student, knowing that they are one and the same. Yeah, so we can often seek help from a place of, vulnerability and but actually by seeking help, we can help people that help us because they also learn. So it's that ongoing transformation for us all. For the one, that's what I hear, for the one, for the higher connection to all things. I'm being really drawn to keep looking at the Knight of Rods, and it feels like the balance comes this week by acting on the things you can act on, seeking help for the things you need help for, and resting when you can't, and really keeping that balance, not seeing it as a way of defensiveness, but necessity. So let's have a little look. 1, 2, 3 major arcanas. So we go back to that creative birth from influences outside of us. And they are justice, the sun, and strength. And what I really, really feel here is provided we are balanced and true in our own light, in our own connection, that transformation could be quite swift and quite easy. The other cards that we have, 1, 2, 3 wands and 2 sword cards. So again, a creative birth when it comes to our drive, our ambition and our spirit. But also, if we do it on our own or feel like we're doing something on our own from a place of defensiveness, not willing to let go of our guard and step into our vulnerability, it can be quite overwhelming this week. So if you are offered help, or if you ask for help, ensure you're asking from a place that will actually help you and ensure that you receive this. 2 sword cards, keeping that balance between what you say and what you do. That's what I hear this week, the Ace of Swords and the Four of Swords. So allowing your voice to be heard by yourself, allowing your own truth to come through, standing in that, being with that, holding space for that. Because it feels like outside energies this week in particular. Sometimes we can seek advice, and that's great, and it can really help us. And then other times we don't trust it, so we seek more and we seek more and we seek more, and that can actually confuse us. So bringing it back to how things apply to you this week in particular, and if they don't, they don't. So overall, yes, the King of Rods. In order to go from that Knight of Rods to the King of Rods here, you can see he's wearing the dream catcher. He's gone from figuring out what he wants. He's gone to putting things in place, keeping it balanced, knowing what he can and can't do, seeking help, knowing that any help that he seeks actually helps all those that he helps. Now he's a lot more serene, a lot more calm, and ready for action when needed. So is there anything else this week? I'm being very drawn to the heron again, whose arms are open wide, ready to fly, and there's great light beams coming from this heron, great potential for huge birth, new birth, all depending on how much we actually want that, and having the strength to move forward in that, knowing that if you truly want things to be different, it's down to our actions, it's down to our thoughts, it's down to our emotions about a situation and what we do with it. Really, really connecting to a higher energy this week in particular. And it may be that connecting to this higher energy actually could confuse the situation. You could feel disconnected from what is going on, and that's okay. That's okay. Just really observing what is occurring around you and within you from a higher perspective this week in particular. What I hear is, if you want to see the light, be the light. It's as simple as that. Take care.